everybody. I'm here. I know it's been a while, but I finally got the podcast going again, and so my goal for this week is to get the scopes going again. So here we are. I'll do a quick introduction, and then we'll get to things because I know that y'all don't want to sit around and hear about me lamenting everything. But I'm Kristen from naturalbirthandbabycare.com. My goal is to do 3 scopes a week. I was doing really well with them, and then my kids got sick, and then I had a conference to go to, and then I brought back more sick from the conference, and so everybody was sick again. And then we were trying to catch up from that, and I finally feel like my life is slightly back on track. But anyway, so here we are. And I thought that today we would talk about gut health for little ones. I actually did a class on this last week, and it was tons of fun. Maybe not tons of fun to talk about the topic of bugs in our guts, but it was a lot of fun in that there was a lot of people on the class. I got a lot of great questions, and it's definitely a topic that I felt like a lot of moms were kind of curious about. So we talked about a lot of things, and I thought that one of the things that I would talk about today was I was going to tell you one of the reasons why gut health is really important, and then also some things that you can do for your baby. So gut health, most of us know a little bit about that now because we know that what are good bacteria and what are bad bacteria. And you know that if you go to the store, it says live active cultures on your yogurt cup, and that's a good thing, right? So most of us know that. We kind of have that feeling that we know what's going on, and we know that that means something good is going on nutritionally. Maybe that helps. But the reality is that our gut microbiota has a profound impact on our health and on our sense of well-being. That's what I want to point out to you with our little ones. Studies have actually shown that for babies with colic, supplementing them with probiotics or good bacteria can make a difference in the colic symptoms. It's not an overnight instantaneous thing, but when they did studies where they studied babies who were given a probiotic for, I think the length of the study was 4 weeks. So the babies were given a probiotic for 4 weeks. And then there was one group of babies who were given a control, so they weren't given anything. And then there was a group of babies that was given gas drops. So just like the normal gas drops you get at the store, your doctor would tell you to get. And what the study showed was that the babies who had colic, who got the gas drops or the control, showed no improvement, whereas within a couple of weeks, the babies who were given the probiotics showed significantly less crying, which is probably something that parents really appreciate. So that is evidence that it can impact our baby's sense of well-being. Another thing that we know is that a child who has good gut health, other studies, these are studies done by the University of Ohio, and they've studied children, and the effect has been especially profound in boys. And I can't help but wonder if that's because, boys tend to be the ones who act out more. And I know little girls can be really crazy and very active. I've got 3 daughters and 4 sons, so I definitely see the whole range of behavior in all of them. But, boys are boys, and researchers noted that especially in boys, when boys had good gut health, they tended to be more social. They tended to be happier, to get along better with other people, and just to seem more content. So their behavior improved overall, like all markers for behavior, and especially social markers. I mean, they still weren't acting like girls in social groups, but and the girls form like cliques and stuff where boys tend to play differently. They still saw that division of behavior, but just in the social situations overall, the boys were doing better than the boys who had the poorer gut flora, and it was seen in girls too. It was just more pronounced in boys. So what they saw was that behavior got better. Kids who have good gut health they're in less pain. They have more of those feel-good hormones. Most of our serotonin, a feel-good hormone that our body produces, is produced in the gut. So when you've got good gut health, it helps do that. So less pain, more feel-good hormones, and also more curiosity, brighter, alert, more able to focus. All of that that matters. The gut matters. So those effects are all seen. I gave you the example with the colicky babies, and then this example was with older kids. So thank you for the invite. So everybody is kind of showing these effects, and then we could talk a lot about the effects in adults, but we're talking specifically about our children here. So anyways, so we see those effects in our children. How did they administer the probiotic? For the newborns, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at the study to see. I do remember that they said a brand name, but I don't remember if they said if it was like a drop or if it was a powder. My recommendation when I make a recommendation to parents who want to do probiotic supplementation is that that you just get an infant powder, and then you can do a little bit of the powder on your finger and let the baby suck it off. I've also heard of moms dusting the nipples if they're breastfeeding, but I think that the finger works really well. I don't think that I don't think you need to try and. You could swirl it in a little water and do it with an eyedropper if you preferred that. But I don't think you need to try and make the baby drink it. I think that I tried to do that the first time I tried to give a probiotic to a little baby, and that didn't work too well. So, but babies will naturally kind of just suck on your finger. So that's a good way to get it into them if you want to. So one tip that I have for getting your child to love probiotics, and this is something that we talked about on the call, we talked about on the class last week, we talked about a lot of different ways to incorporate probiotics into your child's routine. But one of the best ways that I think is to get them used to liking sour foods. Now, we were talking about primarily older babies and toddlers who are starting solids. I do think that if you want to give your young baby a probiotic supplement, that's okay. I also think if you don't want to, that's okay. I know that some breastfeeding moms feel okay with a supplement like that. Some of them are like, nothing but my milk crosses my baby's lips, and I totally respect either one of those positions. I do think that all nursing moms should take a supplement and make sure to include lots of probiotic foods in her diet. I like Seeking Health brand, which you can get on Amazon. So Seeking Health has an infant probiotic that we have had really good success with, and my students have also had good success with. And I think that their company has a lot of integrity. So that's the brand that I would recommend. They have an adult probiotic too, but I would get the baby brand. I would get the baby brand if you're giving it to a baby or toddler or preschooler. But if you're getting up, like I had somebody on the class who was asking about their 9-year-old, and I haven't looked to see if they have like an older children's probiotic. I could look at that. We kind of just tend to mix the baby into everything that's going to the kids, even though my kids are pretty widespread. But I would consider giving an older child, like upper elementary and certainly middle school and high school, I would give them probably the adult. And usually they're based on weight, so the jar will say based on weight how much you should give. And so I would definitely do dosing based on weight, because 2 6-month-olds, can cost or can weigh a lot of different things. Can weigh different things on the scale, so you want to go based on weight. Anyways, so the other thing that I would recommend, again, like I was saying, if you want to do it for your baby, I think that's fine. And I think that really, if you're going to give one supplement to your baby or your toddler, and skip the Flintstones vitamins and go for a good probiotic every day. But another good thing that you can do, even with your baby's first starting solids, is go with those sour fermented things. So exactly like Danielle said there, develop that taste for sour foods, for fermented foods, because that will serve your baby well for life. Now it's true that like if you go to the store and buy shelf-stable pickles or whatever, those don't really have any live active cultures. The flavor is created with vinegar rather than the mother or the culturing process, which is what would have caused it in the past. But you can buy a lot of brands in the health food store and stuff. Sorry, I had something pop up on my screen there. Anyways, you can buy brands that have the ferments, or like Danielle was saying, a lot of them are easy to make. Milk kefir is really easy to make. You can also do water kefir if you guys have a dairy allergy. But that tart, tangy taste is a sign to our bodies that there's good bacteria in there. So yes, Boobies is a good brand. You can get that brand even in many mainstream supermarkets in the United States. They do sauerkraut. They have pickles. They also have horseradish, which I think is, their horseradish is fermented. Another thing that you can often find in mainstream grocery stores is kimchi, which is pretty spicy. Even my little kids will take a little bite, but that's pretty spicy. But that's something that you can find, especially if you as a nursing mom want to include more. Some people don't like spicy foods during pregnancy, but I always have. So even in pregnancies where I was having issues with morning sickness or something, sometimes eating kimchi on the side of things would help. So Danielle says Trader Joe's is another good place to look. Depending on where you are, there may be something that's regional to you. Like up here, my health food store has some regional, like small mom and pop kind of shop ferments that do it. I tend to store buy our veggies because we can do sauerkraut usually. I think our last batch of sauerkraut failed. But otherwise, like the pickles, I've never managed to successfully pull off pickles. But luckily, you can buy those. And even if you give your baby drops of the juice at first, like little drops of sauerkraut juice or pickle juice, just a little drop on the tongue to help them get used to it. Remember, research shows that you need to let your child experience a new taste like 7 or more times sometimes before they begin to accept it. But if you're making those a normal daily taste, then you develop that good taste in them, and that leaves them with a childhood legacy of enjoyment of those kinds of foods, which gives them a legacy of enjoying those foods when they're an adult, which is very good for their digestive system. So that's what I would do to work on healing babies' gut flora, especially if you're worried about something like you didn't have the birth that you wanted, and you're worried that maybe baby didn't get good gut flora, or you know that your gut flora was poor, so you're worried that I passed that on to my baby, that substandard gut flora. So that's what you do. And I went into a lot more detail in the class. We talked about all kinds of fun things like resistant starch and prebiotics and everything. But I think that one of the big takeaways was to understand why it's important, because that helps you stick with it. And then just to give your baby that taste for sour foods. And like Danielle shared, and I've shared some brand names, it's pretty easy to find them, which is lovely, because as moms, we want something that's easy, because life is pretty busy anyways. So just pick this up. And another thing, one more thing that I shared on the class that I want you to take away from this is those fermented cultured veggies are condiments. You're not going to serve your baby a huge bowl of sauerkraut. If they eat a little teaspoon of sauerkraut, that's going to give that boost to their microbiota. You could make, I talk about making like a little mini smoothie for them with the milk kefir, or just drinking the milk kefir or having the yogurt. But even if they're just having a small amount, that's really building up their good gut bacteria. That's really bringing restoration to gut health. Another thing that you can try and get in every day is a little bit of homemade broth, like even a little quarter cup or something like that. And that brings, or they will love it and ask for only sauerkraut for lunch. That's funny. See, that's a sign of a mama that's doing a good job. So yes, so a little bit of broth every day, that's very healing to the intestines. And then bring in those, those sour fermented foods, and those are bringing all that good bacteria that helps colonize those healed intestines. And that really gives your child super lifelong health benefits, both in early childhood and even into adulthood. There's even evidence that it helps to prevent chronic illnesses and all kinds of things like that. So those are great things for your baby. Okay, we are actually going to try and get this class up in the shop really soon. I don't have it up there now, but if you're interested in it, we'll actually try and get it up there this afternoon. It's naturalbirthandbabycare.com/shop, and the class is called Building Baby's Microbiota. I would wait for the sour food, till your baby's starting solids to give them the sour foods, though you can eat sour foods. We know that many tastes come through mom's milk, and that often babies like what they've gotten from mom's milk. For instance, babies love garlicky milk. So if mom eats a lot of garlic, clinically proven that babies nurse more deeply and more vigorously because they like that garlicky milk. So my guess is that if you ate those fermented foods regularly while you're nursing your baby, and maybe even while pregnant, that's going to go to your baby. With the probiotic, like if you wanted to give the powder, I think that if you were concerned about something, so if you guys didn't have the birth that you wanted, or your baby had to have a NICU stay, or if you know, if you had to have antibiotics or your baby had to have antibiotics, I would consider doing a little fingertip of probiotic powder daily. Also, if your baby's got other things like you notice constipation or diarrhea or anything like that, a little fingertip every day. Otherwise, I think it's okay to wait till they start solids. And some families want to do just foods. Some families want to do a supplement. Yeah, Seeking Health is the brand that I recommend. And their baby powder has worked really well for me and many of my clients. So I like that brand. So that's what I would do as far as giving it to your baby. Like an exclusively breastfed baby, I would consider on a situational basis. And then once baby's older, I think it's a good idea to give it regularly. Maybe not every day, but certainly if you're making a smoothie or something, incorporate a pinch of the powder and then have those fermented foods that you're starting to introduce, like just the drops of the juice, and then as they get bigger and they're interested in taking bites and experimenting, they could suck on a pickle slice or something like that. To start to get a taste. Or I would feel comfortable probably introducing milk kefir yogurt at 8 or 9 months. So that's another thing to give them. Very easy if your child's not sensitive to dairy. So I'm kind of bouncing here because I'm actually sitting on a birth ball. I'm sitting here wondering, is anybody thinking that Kristen's weird because she's bouncing? Anyways, okay, so the class is Building Baby's Microbiota. We'll try and get it up in the shop. It was a lot of fun, which is why I wanted to continue talking about it on the scope here. I planned out the topics for the rest. I think you could do coconut kefir too, for sure, because coconut's definitely good for baby. The thing about coconut and water kefir is they're not self-perpetuating so easily, so you have to continually renew the culture, whereas milk kefir, you know, you get the kefir grains and then you're good to go, unless you're like my family and somehow managed to kill kefir grains. It's really hard to kill them, and yet my family's managed to do so. But yeah, I would think that I wouldn't do something like maybe juice kefir, but then again, maybe it would be okay. It is sad because the kefir grains are going to eat a lot of the sugars. But yeah, I would, if you're not going to do a dairy one, hey, we've killed them like twice. That's my husband chiming in there. Anyways, I think we're on our 3rd batch of grains. And they're doing well, very well. If anybody's in our area, they can come get some of the excess ones that we have. Anyways, so I would stick, if you're not going to do a dairy one, do like coconut water or coconut or water kefir. Don't do juice kefir. But otherwise, I think dairy kefir is wonderful and easy. We like making yogurt too, but the kefir is so easy. It requires no babysitting like yogurt does. Anyways, okay, guys and gals, I actually have to go do a Smart Mama Happy Baby call now. So I am going to hop off of here. Again, check out the shop, naturalbirthandbabycare.com/shop. Yeah, you have to be careful of the sugar levels. And I will be back on Wednesday at about this time, and hopefully on Friday about this time, and we will talk there. I hope that you guys have a blessed week this week, and I will talk to you on Wednesday.